Hey guys, it's Michael B. Welcome to Monday nights. Welcome to Chill and Chat with Michael B. So tonight we're doing something a little bit different. I have a host of excellent panelists here in front of me. We're going to have a full-on political debate. No, it's not going to be that boring, but we're going to have a very open, frank, and interesting conversation about iiRcade. iiRcade is an interesting company in the home arcade space because they have probably, and by probably I mean definitely, the most premium home arcade machine out of the three companies' offerings. But so many times, so many people have opinions, constructive criticism, and sometimes outright hate towards the company that seems to be somewhat crazy. So I wanted to kind of talk about that tonight. The other reason for this is a little bit of a mulligan because a couple of weeks ago I did a show called Are These Home Arcade Companies in Danger of Going Out of Business in 2023? And a lot of people felt that we were overly critical on the iiRcade during that segment. So it's a great opportunity for me to bring back the panelists that were involved in that segment, as well as bring in some iiRcade super fans that kind of get to say their piece as well. And I don't want to say defend, but kind of share their perspective and maybe enlighten us a little bit. Anyways, hopefully tonight's show is going to be a ton of fun. And if it's not, blame the panelists because they're probably going to do most of the talking. Anyways, sit back, relax. If you're watching Monday Night Raw, you've made the wrong decision, turn me back on. This is Chill and Chat with Michael B. Oh man, why did it go back to this? I was talking to the guys earlier before we started.
You're not professional.
We were in that structure and it was just like a big screen of me and then all the people on the bottom. It was crazy. So I want to introduce the people I've got here tonight. We've got from the Friday night iiRcade show, Brooklyn Menace. I got a chance to meet Brooklyn when we were at the iiRcade Game and Brew last year. Good guy. Filmed a really awkward conversation out on the terrace at one point.
That's what I do, Michael B.
Also, we've got Papa Brad O'Connell. Good to see you, man. You've been around the home arcade and gaming space for many years.
Oh, yes.
Many years. When did you transform from Brad O'Connell to Papa Brad? Will we ever see a change around and you'll be Brad O'Connell again?
I don't know.
Are you Papa Brad from now on?
Yeah. By the way, thanks for doxing me. That's
Brad
a wonderful,
O'Connell.
Good way to start.
Yeah.
You want to get my address and phone number?
Ladies and gentlemen, DM me directly and I will share his social insurance number. Anyways, Brad, I'm going to give you a chance to tell. That's right. You might have some negativity coming your way from some people or something like that. I apologize.
I'm a fan of all arcade and pinball.
No,
don't
that's
put
not
me
what
in
I
a
mean.
box. Go check out my channel. I have all kinds of things on my channel. So
Brad's coming in hot.
Is that what he means by doxing? By saying he's an iiRcade fan? I thought it was because I gave his full name and address. That's what doxing actually means, telling people your personal information. What's happening here? Anyways, 19K Fox is here.
Hello.
And 19K Fox's real name is Robert Foxworth.
There we go again. Damn it. We've got to move again, babe.
Yeah, let's get B's full name too. While we're at it, why don't we throw his full name into this too?
I actually do know B's full name.
Yeah,
I won't share it because
I'd love for you to pronounce it. Can you?
Is the B.
Kira.
You cannot. Oh no, that's a close one. It's
Correct.
close. Yes.
My full name is Brooklyn Menace, but I just
ass.
that didn't sound as cool as Menace.
It's a man ass.
All right, guys. So before we get started, Brad, like you said, put you in a box. I do want to give you guys an opportunity, just in case people don't know who you are. I'm sure they do, but if they don't know who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do on YouTube? Let's start with you, Brad.
I have a channel, Papa Brad's Gaming. I've been in the home arcade scene for a long time. Started a channel along with some other guys called the iiRcadians. We do a show on iiRcade. But I do all kinds of things. Come check out my channel, Papa Brad's Gaming.
All right, Brooklyn Menace. You, my friend, have another channel, Brooklyn Menace. That is not the name that you wanted, though, because you were stuck with it because you had it for a long time, correct?
I was stuck with it because I used to be a DJ. My name was DJ Menace, and a lot of other people started calling themselves DJ Menace. I am originally from Brooklyn, so I just changed it to Brooklyn Menace. That became my gaming name, and it became my YouTube name. I'm stuck with it at this point. I'm not too much of a menace at this age, but
you got to admit,
my channel is basically I'm basically an editor, a documentary maker, juggalo, and huge fan of video games my entire life. And also I'm also part of the show The iiRcadians, and I have my own show, the Friday Night Arcade Show, where every Friday night we get together and enjoy the games on the iiRcade.
And what kind of DJ were you? Was it hip hop? Was it trance? Was it
mostly EDM, but a little bit of everything.
I'm an old man. What's EDM?
Electronic dance music.
Electronic dance music. I should have known that. I'm sorry. Well, 19K Fox,
we're gonna go to that rave, Michael B. Don't you know?
What?
We're gonna go to that rave in Cleveland, so you got to get ready.
Absolutely, do a rave in my life.
Shaving my head.
Wouldn't know what
as soon as we get there.
19K Fox, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a Star Wars channel, right? Or you?
I'm a bit of a Star Wars channel. Actually, I'm a big pinball fan, and definitely going to go the way. But the new focus is actually iiRcade, so that's what we're going to do.
People have been saying that to me recently because I made an iiRcade review. They're like, "You're an iiRcade channel now." I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Hey, you gotta love the iiRcade. Come on.
Love the iiRcade. It's great. No, my name is 19K Fox. I have a channel. Check it out. I talk about home arcade and I build stuff. And I move from time to time. That's going to be a recurring theme of the show. Every 6 months, just going to move to a different house.
All right. And Kongs Are Us, B Kong, lives in California. He has 3 children.
Yes, I do. And I'm a failed toy YouTube channel that I really wanted to share my love and passion for Macross and transforming toys. But then I got stuck into doing arcade modding tutorials, and now people just peg me as the modding guy. And it's an all right gig, but it's been fun to have this channel the last couple of years and make content that's still fun. So I've enjoyed this community.
Yeah, it's weird to see how things change on YouTube. Like I've always said that, like, I'm not a home arcade YouTuber, but obviously I make a ton of content on home arcade. So it's fair from the outside. Again, perception is reality, but we all started, well, all of us mainly started doing something else and, found our way here. So that's interesting to me.
I agree.
Excellent. All right, guys. So first things first, Brad, I apologize. I didn't mean to dox you. I'm very, very sorry about that. That was not my intention. I didn't think it was doxing, so I do apologize. But I wanted to bring you guys on the show tonight because a couple weeks back, we did that show that was all about are these companies in danger of going out of business in 2023? And a lot of people were really upset by it because, narratives get out of control. People don't see things the way that you think they should see things, in my mind. So I know you were in the chat and you were saying, you guys should bring some people from the iiRcade show on and kind of, address some of these things that you guys were talking about. So the first thing I wanted to ask you, both Brooklyn and Brad, we'll start with you, Brad, is the show we did a couple of weeks about it. What specifically were your concerns about the show?
I mean, I don't know. It just didn't seem like you had anyone, that really had an iiRcade opinion on it. It seemed like, it was mostly arcade one-up channels that were represented in the panel. That's all I'm saying.
Why do you think we're arcade one-up channels? I'll ask you that. I just got to know. Because we cover arcade one-up stuff, but we all cover other stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that there was no one really from the iiRcade community that covers a lot of iiRcade content that was represented in your panel. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to get into an argument about it, but
no, not at all. I'm just trying.
It was kind of one-sided. I mean,
I disagree, but I'll ask you now, Brooklyn. Do you feel the same way?
I watched the show. I don't get offended by much stuff, and I understand that it's all YouTube content. You can. It's a way of drawing people in. The only thing I would say is that, as like you said earlier, we all met over at iiRcade. I thought the show timing might have been kind of like bad timing for that week. That was kind of like a big week for iiRcade. But other than that, I mean, you could do whatever you want on your
Something
channels.
happened at iiRcade? No, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that.
That was kind of like, that all kind of happened the week that iiRcade launched Operation Wolf, which we knew was in the works for a while. So it was a big week for iiRcade. So, you know, it was just
it was a week rain on the parade.
It was kind of like a rain on the parade.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where I wanted to kind of go from this next. Is one of the things that we were talking about that night that I think kind of incensed a lot of people. And I'm going to be honest, when B first started telling me about it, I was upset too, because I've been one of the biggest proponents of gun games in the iiRcade. I'm super excited. I know you too, Fox. I mean, you've been looking forward to this since day one. That's pretty much why you bought your gold cab. You thought there were gun games coming. So when B was bringing up this information about there only being 55 people on the leaderboard,
I'm a shit starter.
Yeah, you're a shit starter. I started to get some concerned about that. So I'm going to start with you two guys up there now. Operation Wolf sold 55 games its first weekend. According to the leaderboards, do you think that represents everybody who actually bought the game? And were you guys concerned about that number, or was, this just another thing for you? Brad, I'll go start with you.
I mean, I guess it is what it is, I mean, I'm glad I got it. I got a gold to play the gun games, and they delivered. I mean, how can I be upset about that?
Yeah.
I mean, I bought the gold. One of the reasons why I got it was I knew that they were going to have the USB. They're going to have the, the ability to play sending games, and they delivered on it. And the game's awesome. So, I mean,
it does work.
Whether it was
really well.
for 55 or 1, they promised something and they delivered on it. And they didn't halfway do it. It works great. So that's my opinion on it. What's your opinion, Brooklyn?
So part of the reason why, if you want to go into the low amount of user base, you have to understand how many people have a gold, and then on top of that, how many people have the send-in. Because as B showed on his show, not a lot of people are going to want to play the game with a stick, and I can understand why iiRcade had to enable that to make it fair for everyone. But they also knew in the background that they were really hard in the works trying to get it to work with Glenn's, control deck that's coming out, but they just could not manage to get it in time. They're probably, you had a ton of pressure coming from the iiRcade community. Everyone's asking every week, when's Operation Wolf coming out? They couldn't get they couldn't get it working. I'm not a technical guy, so whatever Glenn and Michael figured out to get the control deck to finally work, it took them, they announced it the week after. It would have been great if they would have been able to do that before. But as Brad said earlier, I played it over at iiRcade. It played perfect to me. And the first time I played it at home, besides the reticle being a little shaky, which is supposedly something through the send-in software, the gameplay is awesome. And it's great to watch a cabinet that I love so much evolve. And this was just another one. This is just it evolving again now. Now I have light gun games on it. One of my favorite categories of games. So for me, I love it,
So B, you're the one who brought this up originally. I'm going to ask you the same question. What's your real concern about the 55 games? Why were you so focused on that aspect specifically?
Yeah. So when I even started that stream, it was like about 30 minutes before my stream where I was just like, I'm going to buy the game, going to test it, look at it. I just really wanted my wife to play the game on my on my gun game cabinet that I have and just kind of give my thoughts on Operation Wolf. And I was like, I'm just going to buy it and check it out. And it just jumped out at me that leaderboards for iiRcade have up to 100 people on it. And for many of their games that have a lot of user base on it, that it gets filled up pretty quickly. And so, it's just something that I didn't really pay attention to often, looking at the leaderboards and the amount of people were there. But for me, initially, since there was a lot of hype for it being a marquee title that was going to, really jumpstart kind of a next wave of people, interested in the cabinet because you can now play these light gun games. It just, I think there's always been that question about what's the true user base the iArcade. I think that was my concern, that out of the user base, whatever number it is, launch weekend, 55 people got on board with the launch edition. And if you just do the pure math of how much the game costs with that, like I just did basic math from a revenue standpoint. And for opening weekend, it's like an opening weekend of a box office movie that's been hyped for a while. And you kind of get that initial revenue amount. And it concerned me. So I think those were just, I was doing the math and the numbers. And I think I'm hopeful, like, and not really, I didn't want to bring the community down or even start like a big shit show about it, but it was pure math. And it was just like, I've always been one to look at facts and just kind of share it at that level. And that was factual of what happened that weekend. It could have been bad timing. There could have been extra plans for, more send-in support and more people jumping on board with it. But that was just my initial take 72 hours after launch of that big marquee title. I haven't even looked at where they're at today. I'm hoping, honestly, that there's more sales for it, that more people are interested in getting Glenn's, products so that they can play send-in light guns. I'm all for it. So that initial launch weekend was news to me because I know there had been a lot of talk about it. So that was just kind of my first thoughts on it.
So, guys, please don't take any offense to this. Right before we get to the most handsome guy in the room, I do want to read this super chat from Steps Gaming.
I already talked.
Yeah.
Oh,
there. you
So-
start first.
So Steps, you don't have to do that. Don't super chat, man. I appreciate it though, but you don't have to do that. I won't play Operation Wolf with the stick. I will get the deck upgrade and then I will be playing. So I have to wait. Looking forward to it.
And I'm all for that. I'm all for people not playing it with the stick, because to B's point, if they sold that many copies, right, on day one of something that was in the works for such a long time, perfect. Now they got the message. They need to get the send-ins working on all cabinets. And so that's what they got. That's
and the other thing you could also look at,
you will see the numbers in that game jump.
Probably 50 of those 55 people bought a gold cabinet and bought a send-in. I mean, that's a pretty high amount of adopters, I think. And also, you can't get a send-in shipped to you within like 24 hours. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of people are going to wait to hear reviews and they're going to find out, is this game any good? Is it worth buying $100 to $150 gun for? How does it work? I mean, I know when I buy stuff, I watch all you guys. I listen to reviews and, I make my own decision. But I never, I seldom buy something expensive without listening to reviews. That's just me as a consumer, as someone that buys home arcade stuff. I like to listen to a lot of reviews before I purchase. And
for me personally, if I only had my Gen 1 and didn't have the gold, I probably would have waited until a light gun was available, or at least a trackball.
Yeah, I would have skipped it too. And like, here's the thing, like, we don't talk about this a lot. Like, there's options that we could play some of these games in other places. We want to play them on the iArcade because the arcade's doing this different with the sending gun technology. But like, Brad, you've got an Act Games. I don't know about you, Brooklyn, if you have an Act Games Legends Ultimate.
Yes,
but
I have everything.
Yeah, we can play Operation Wolf with a trackball on that already. So, Brad, your hands up.
Can I say one thing? I don't want to talk over people. I have a bad. I grew up in the 80s, and that's the way my family always talked. We always talked over each other. That's just the way we are. I don't want to be rude and do that here, but I do want to say this. I don't have any problems with your show. I love your show, Michael B. Been a longtime fan. Watched your show. I think we started off a little bit on the wrong foot. I want to make sure you know that I love your show. And I do appreciate you inviting us on here for a healthy debate about some iArcade issues or iArcade conversation. But I want you to understand that, I love your show.
I know.
And I think you need to know that. Like,
you caught me off guard with the doxing.
I felt a little bit. I felt like there was a little bit of a loaded. You're pointing a sending gun at me here. Now, come on, Michael B.
When you said,
I thought this was a friendly conversation.
Yeah, we just found out it was a debate when we got
here. We're told, come on here, that's a friend. And then we find out right before the show starts, this is a debate format and we're going against each other. I thought this was like a friendly conversation.
It is.
My point is, I like your show. I've always liked your content. And if you took it as like I was being critical or anything, the only thing I like to see, different points of view. And like, if you look at the iArcadian show that I run, I always look for people that don't agree with me. Like Cuddles does not agree with me on most things, but I always had them
bring
on.
people on my show that don't agree with Brad.
Because it makes it more interesting. Absolutely. And that's just what my point is. So I want to make sure you know that. And
Yes.
as far as being on YouTube, I like to be called Papa Brad. That's what I like to be called. That's my YouTube name, Papa Brad.
Okay.
Because there are people that are crazy in the iiRcade community, haters, that will seek me out if you're putting out my full name. And I've had people contact my work, do things like that, things that are way out of line. And so if I came off a little bit edgy, it's because I have a reason for that. Okay.
That's why.
Just so you know from the
get go. To
get-go.
allude to that, Brad. Like I was like, oh, you might have some people. So, anyways, back on track. I got like 23 questions, guys. We got to try to get through them. We're already 20 minutes in.
Could I come back in a few minutes? I need to call Brad's job.
Yeah.
19K Fox. I don't know what he's doing there. Hold on.
He's doing research.
He's doing research.
He's getting his notes.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
John D just faxed him something.
19K Fox.
Gentlemen, I'm back. I have numbers.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, so Operation Wolf. It's funny. So you get down to 29. There's actually 72, 29. That's the rank 29, right? So this is the way that it is. So if you take that into account, 72 plus 29 is 101 current high score holders. But the most important number is 12, which is what I am.
You son of a...
It maxes out at 100, so there could be more than that at this point in time. So that's just like that's just maxed out at this point.
Yeah.
So
that's
you notice how we didn't pull up Thunderbolt, where I'm in third place?
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. It burns, stings.
So, anyways, the point that I took from it when you said like the 55 users, I kind of looked at it the same way. I mean, you look at it that this is the opening weekend, but there is mitigating factors like Brad and Brooklyn are mentioning. We don't know how many iiRcade gold cabinets were ever produced. We have no idea how many actually were purchased or out in the community. And really the only people who can play this in the way that you really want to play it in is with a sending gun, which is another mitigating factor to the number of people who bought it. I'm hoping that with Glenn's announcement, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, now that everybody feels they're all involved, that, more people are going to buy it. Gun games are going to be successful because, God damn it, I want more gun games on the iiRcade. I had a bunch of fun playing Operation Thunderbolt on stream the other night. So, yeah, more experience like that. Thunderbolt.
I think Michael B should be banned from playing any iiRcades on stream.
Jeez, my streams have not gone well so far.
I'll bring you on my channel to debate that.
Yeah.
Oh man, my machine, like the light when I was doing dead cells, and then whatever happened with the gun the other night. Oh, I got the worst kind of luck lately.
We played it. All of us playing at the same time consecutively with no issues. My
Sinden light gun just went crazy. I don't know what happened. Anyways, moving on. I got to speed this up. Okay, so the next thing that we talked about during that show that I kind of want to get your guys' feedback on is right now iiRcade aren't producing any more gold cabinets. They're not producing any cabinets at all, actually. So was the gold a limited time machine? That's kind of what John put out there. And then this question goes on. Why do you think there isn't currently any new hardware being manufactured for iiRcade? Let's start with you this time, Brooklyn.
All right. So I don't think the gold was meant to be limited when they came up with that idea, but I think things have changed since then. I think them partnering with Glenn is what's changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a very clear reason why there are no more cabinets and why they are selling all the cabinets out, because I believe that the next version of the cabinet is going to contain all the controls in one. Okay. So they are clearing out the inventory and then going to give it enough space before they bring out a version that will be priced somewhere in between where the gold and the Gen 1 was. That's kind of more affordable for people, but already comes with all of the control options built in. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Brad, how about you?
Yeah, I think the gold was made for like the hardcore gamers, the people like us right here. I mean, except for B. B doesn't have a gold, but the rest of us all have a gold cab. I mean, they basically listened to the community. They gave us the things we wanted. We said we needed a lit up marquee, and we wanted something that fit in with the rest of our 3/4 scale arcades. And I think they listened to the community and they gave us what we wanted. So, I think it was a very premium product. And I think iiRcade is probably, if I was iiRcade, I would probably, increase the options on the control panel. And I would probably make a more affordable cab, because the gold cab was pretty pricey. I mean, it was most of us got it. Let's face it, most of us got it for $7.99, but it was really priced to be $1,000 cabinet, and that's a lot of money. I mean, that's I think it was a high price, and I hope that if they move forward with another cab, I hope they do something a little more affordable so they can grow the user base. That's what I think, and I think Glenn, and I think they are considering, what can be done too in the future with the controls.
Yeah, it was a little price restrictive. Chit for Brains had a comment here I wanted to bring up, but why stop? People want it. And really quickly, before I get to the other guys, I just wanted to address this. I think they understand there's a demand for it. I just don't know if there's enough of a demand for them to do a full production run again. You got to remember, it's incredibly price restrictive at $1,000. And they've even come out and said at $1,000, it's a loss leader, right? So, Brad?
Can I say one thing? They kind of produce things in small batches. I mean, how great is it that every time you make something, you can make it a little bit better than the last time you made it? And I think iiRcade is using this opportunity, selling out of everything they have, and then redesigning and improving each time. You saw it from the OG cab to the gold cab. I mean, I'm excited to see where they're going to go next. But each time they've put out a series of cabs, there have been improvements, whether it's the JBL audio or the marquee. And, I think that is probably part of the strategy too. I don't know what they have up their sleeves, but I think they're working on something, and I'm excited to see where they're going.
We know nothing. This is all, we're just speculating.
Yeah.
But at the same time, why it's so clear to me that that's what's going on is because they're giving everyone, the Gen 1 owners, the gold owners, the option of having a uniform control deck. And they'll probably give that enough time before they release something new that already now is going to have everything all in one.
I could just speak for me in Brooklyn too. Like, we don't work for iiRcade. We have no affiliation with iiRcade. Matter of fact, I pride myself on the iiRcadian shows independent, has no connection to iiRcade at all.
Oh, I work with
we are basically gamers. Like, if you go on the leaderboards on iiRcade, you'll see Brooklyn and my name on just about all of them. So we're gamers. I mean, that's the Friday night arcade show. It's all about gaming.
Yep. All right. So anyways, this is supposed to be a friendly conversation, not really a debate, but I am going to have to start adding time limits. Come on, guys.
Okay,
we got 23 questions to go through. All right, B, really quickly from you, when it came to the gold cabinets no longer being produced, I mean, we were looking at this and we were like, what the hell? I mean, how could they not be making more cabinets? Why don't you share your opinion on it?
Yeah, I skipped the gold cabinet for a couple of reasons. The Dragon's Lair version that I had was enough, and I didn't see enough value for me personally to do the upgrade, knowing that I was going to do a light gun cabinet build on my own. So for my personal situation, didn't make sense. I would have liked to have seen more art options too. I think that would have been another way to bring in more people that wanted to get it, maybe for the first time, instead of just an upgrade of an older one. So I didn't know. It was the first time where, iiRcade did an upgrade model, kind of like Arcade 1UP does. It was like, hey, next year we're gonna make a better version of this. And like, do you just replace the one that you currently have? Do you have to do this? So the limited nature of it, I think there was a combination of factors that maybe didn't quite sell as well based on the art packages and the package that it came together. So it didn't surprise me that they stopped. I do agree, and I hope what Brad and Brooklyn are saying is that they do revisit it, and there's like a new platinum iiRcade or whatever 2.0, 3.0 that they call it, that kind of brings it back down to a reasonable price point. And I don't know if it costs a lot of money to do the different art packages, but maybe it is black, and then you have the gold or the double dragon version where you can kind of slap your own art onto it as you need to. So I would love to see versions of different games that I love on the cabinet and make that my iiRcade cabinet. So that's kind of where I'm at.
All right, Fox, you got anything to add to that conversation?
I thought it sucked that they quit making it.
Yeah.
That kind of sucked. That's when I jumped on board. I thought that this was a great iteration of version 2. It added some things that I think some of us were wanting, more of the arcade shape. I mean, it's funny how much a lit marquee can just stir your heart. And the fact that they added some of the upgrades. If you were paying attention, you kind of saw what they were doing, where they were going, adding functionality. And when you see that production sort of ramp down, coupled with the fact that they finally come out with that light gun game we wanted so much, it was weird. And I think that's what stirred a lot of the speculation. You think this is when the freaking ball should just be rolling. And then it seems like they were saying things like, well, we're going to focus on software. And so that's where someone who's excited about the product finally kind of, coming to fruition and satisfying some of the desires of us that actually bought the cab, to hear we're going in a new direction, or maybe not a new direction, but they're going to focus on something a little bit different, was weird, definitely weird. And it sucks. You want to see them continue to innovate, but also produce and get this out there and get the name out there and pick up new licenses. And we can talk about that later, but yeah, I mean, just that initial news was, it kind of sucked.
Guys, I apologize. No, Brad,
please,
just 1 second.
Please.
1 second.
Okay.
I apologize about the ads. It's a new thing YouTube's doing. They put it in there. I always just, whatever YouTube wants me to do, whether it's ad monetization or anything like that, I'm just like, yes, because otherwise I'm afraid they won't share my stuff. I don't know how the algorithm works. Mm-hmm. I apologize if it bothers you. Brad, really quickly.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing real quick. iiRcade is a console, and you look at Sony PlayStation. They're on their 5th version of the PlayStation. Did everyone get upset every time there's a new PlayStation? No, we were happy.
If they announced they were going to quit making the console, that would have been alarming. If all of a sudden, I think we're done, we're going to just focus on software, that would be concerning for fans of the hardware. And that's the only point I'm trying to make, is that, man, I wanted to hear announcements of, hey, we're coming out with more cabs and different art styles, and we're going to be in Best Buy, and you can find us in Walmart. That's what you kind of expected as a fan. And to not see that, you're like, dude, come on, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I can agree, because I think that they missed an opportunity. The night they launched Operation Wolf, we were all like 100% sure that there was going to be an Operation Wolf cab dropping that night. Now that would have been great for them.
That would have been dope.
But they didn't do it. So, that's a missed opportunity for them. I do not for 1 second believe that there are no future iiRcades being made. I mean, that just kind of like seems ridiculous, because then you're just limited to the user base that you have now, and their business is about selling games. So the more people they have out there with the cabinets, the more games they can sell. They've already, iiRcade's very secretive, as we all know. Like, they don't let anything out of the bag.
So,
And I don't know, that could sometimes hurt them, but I just believe there's a reason that they're being so secretive, and everyone's going to be pleasantly surprised, both with the UI that's coming out and potential future cabinets.
So a couple points here, Brad. The example that you used of nobody gets mad about there being a new PlayStation, that happened over the span of like 25 years, though, not 3 years with 3 different consoles, right? So that personally, being in the iiRcade community like me from the beginning, that there were people upset that the Gold had come out, because they had just bought their iiRcades and they felt that it was a little bit too soon to do a cabinet upgrade. So I understand what you're saying 100%, but at the same time, there's a time period difference there. Right. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and P-Dubs is going to beat me because we're definitely going to go over. I am so sorry, P-Dubs. Please don't be mad at me. You touched on it right there, Brooklyn Menace. And before we go there, I do want to bring this up. I think a lot of the problem was Jung openly said on that game days, the last one he was on, he was like, we're not making any new hardware. Now, I don't think that there was something lost in translation there. That's not to say they won't make it in the future, but him saying that his exact words were, we have no plans to make new hardware at this point, left people concerned. That's kind of where that came from. It's not that no one believes they'll ever make hardware, but when your CEO says, we don't currently have plans to make hardware, it's a little tough, right? So that's the next question I wanted to ask. And you already answered it. If iiRcade isn't making any new hardware, how can they hope to expand their user base? Let's start with you, 19K Fox, this time.
I think it's tough.
Friendly conversation, though. Friendly conversation, not a debate, but you are being timed.
I think that I want them to make more stuff, because if you make more physical hardware, you get more people involved, you get more software sales, And then you begin to kind of have a presence in the market, which means bigger, better, or just different licensing. So I think that, yeah, that's alarming when you think, like I said before, this was the time for, in my opinion, this was the push. Okay, now gold has it has its own reason for existing, and yeah, so it's a cure. I really want to know what that software thing is that they're working on.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That's the next question. How about you, Papa Brad?
What was the question again?
I don't know. I've lost the narrative here, man. I'm so worried about P-dubs being mad.
I mean, I think they need to give it some time. I think they're working on something new. I mean, and they're kind of a small boutique company. iiRcade's not a gigantic company. They're putting out stuff in small batches. So, I mean, they can make improvements each time they do it. They don't have to put out the exact same thing each time. So I don't know. But in my opinion, you need to give it some time. You're right. You need to have some time between releasing from one generation of something to the next. But I think they're clearing out what they have so they can do something new next. And we don't know what that is. Nobody knows. I mean, do you agree, Brooklyn?
Yeah, I totally agree. With their cabinets being on sale, you have people that are excited where it's in a price point where for them now, I will give it a shot. And from what we've seen so far, everyone that seems pretty happy with the product. I mean, we see the same thing from Arcade One Up today. I see, a cabinet that was pretty expensive. You can get it, shipped to your house for $149. That doesn't mean Arcade One Up is going out of sale. That just means they're clearing out those cabinets. They're making room for something new. I believe that's what iiRcade is doing. And I think when it's worded that we are no longer producing cabinets, I think that's true too. They are no longer producing cabinets. I think now they've partnered with somebody else that is going to take over that side for them. They're going to focus on the software. Once all these cabinets are out, there'll be a little bit of space of time, and then they're going to release something new. The reason why they can't do it so fast is because you know how this community is. Someone just bought this, and now a day later something else comes out. They're all going to be freaking out. If you would have told me that you were coming out with this cabinet, I would have waited, So they already dealt with that with the gold. So I think they learned, and now they're just going to clear out inventory, give it a little time, focus on, putting out games, and then eventually we'll drop a new cabinet.
All right, we got a $2 super chat from Stringer Films here. Killed a snake while pressure washing. No mo shitting me. So thanks very much, Stringer Films. I appreciate the super chat. I have no idea what that's in relation to. B, anything to add to that, my brother?
You got another super chat if you want to take care of that real quick.
Oh my God, P-Dubs Arcade Loft. Mike, LOL, we're not a cable network. If you run over an hour, it's all good, my dude. Oh, P-Dubs, you're the best. I love you, sir.
P-Dubs, if you'll have me on your show, I'll dip out of here in a second.
You son of a...
I have no morals.
Is legit.
Yes.
So,
1 second, really quick.
go ahead.
That's not what I'm looking for. But yeah, Jason, I saw this earlier. Didn't show up in Restream for some reason. I apologize. I would have brought it up on screen. Thank you so much for doing that, Jason M. But I didn't get the notification here in Restream, and I didn't have the other chat open. So I'm sorry I missed that. But guys, thank you very much, Jason M. All right, B.
I'm really curious about September because one of the reasons why we were going to Cleveland is you said that At Games and iiRcade are going to be there. So why would they have a physical booth presence at a convention if they don't have something planned to showcase, whether it's just the existing cabinets or something new? Like, don't invest in that unless you're going to be doing something. So I think the pause for new cabinets, maybe there's something that's extra fancy and that we'll get to see there. Like,
Do you want me to play spoiler?
Do you already know?
Yeah, I know why they're going to Cleveland.
Do you? Okay. Well, the event planner me wants to know everything because
I'll tell you why they're going to Cleveland because when At Games originally reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we're going to Cleveland. You know how you guys did that thing to iiRcade last year. You should all come to the Cleveland Gaming Show. We're going to be there." Mm-hmm. So I went and scoped out the Cleveland Gaming Show, and I noticed that iiRcade had been going there for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. I was like, "Cool, I'll talk to Michael about it." And he was like, "Oh yeah, we've been going the last couple of years. We don't know if we're going to go." And I was like, "Please come, please." So there's no big announcement or anything like that. This is just a conference they normally go to, and unless they
beg them
pull
to
something-
come
I beg them to
again,
come, yeah.
just to
Yeah.
so that we can do joint iArcade at Games Game and Brew.
I also just wanted to
Absolutely.
hang out with Michael and his mustache. I'm going to be honest.
It is epic.
Okay. Well, it's a good opportunity if they wanted to kind of meet fans and do a state of, because they usually don't. Most arcade companies don't announce when they're going to be at places. People have to kind of find them on the vendor list and see what's happening. But it would make sense for them to do something like that, or maybe they'll have another Game and Brew too. So I haven't heard anything from iArcade that is talking about a big announcement or time frame, but that would be a fun time to do it. So I am going to stay optimistic. And the event planner in me was already talking to Steven TechBuzz for all those that are going. I want to figure out what we're doing because I don't want to just wander aimlessly around for 3 days. I'd love to like showcase and spend time at iArcade and at games and have our own thing going on.
Yeah, like when I went to Chicago, I went to have a bunch of fun, play games, and drink beers. B went to produce many live streams.
Michael, I went to do the same thing, and then I brought my wife.
Yeah, see, that's where it falls apart.
Yeah,
But
all the
you know,
fun was done.
still, the family's very important. I would have loved to have brought my wife. Okay, guys, back on track, trying to speed this up. That same game days when we talked about John saying they're not going to produce it. Michael teased that they're getting ready to do one of their biggest updates they have ever done. Is this possibly the new UI, or do you think it's something else? Do you think it was related to Dead Cells that came out, that update they did, or is this a system update that they're planning on doing? Brad, we'll start with you.
I think that, who knows? But I mean, what I'm going to say is them doing the Dead Cells update was good. It proved that they could add to existing games and put DLC in. So I was excited for that. They know what we want. They know we want a new UI. They know we want online matchmaking rooms for online play. And they are listening. So, I'm not a software engineer, but I know that they've heard us and they are listening to us and they're working on it.
19K Fox, how about you? Do you think this is the long rumored UI update?
I hope so. They've emphasized that they are a software company. So I would imagine if they're working on something big, if they're focusing on something, that would be what they should do. But then again, if you're not making new cabinets, why invest in that? Or kind of to Brooklyn's point, what if they're going to have somebody else do the hardware, manufacture the cabinets, and then they can focus on the software? So maybe that first unveiling is, hey, a new UI, and then they continue to focus on software while they just outsource that. So I don't know.
Who do you think's going to make the cabinets? Sears Roebuck?
At games.
I think it's pretty clear, but I'm not saying.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys probably know stuff we don't know. Because
No, I wish.
You think it's pretty clear?
We do claim we have a secret society, but we really don't. We're just a bunch of dorks that talk to each other about this stuff.
All right. What about you, B?
Are you alluding to Glenn making cabinets now since they're
I plead
partnering?
the fifth.
I plead the fifth.
I mean, he's always been an accessories company and he's made small versions. So what if there's a small iArcade that
Yes.
becomes a console?
Yes.
We speculated.
true.
Yes.
iArcade
Now-
game.
There you go.
That's it.
All right.
It's going to be
We're all gonna
$79.99.
have 50 of them.
Yeah. The next year's Buildacade will include iArcade guts and internals too. That's the future right there. I would buy that. I would buy mini
Hey.
iArcade. I would definitely do that.
So the next one is, if it is a new UI, super chat really quickly. Snake was scarier than Uncle Bobby after happy hour. Thank you very much, Stringer Films. Your $2 super chats are getting me closer and closer to buying those new pinball legs I've been looking for. Thank you very much, brother. So if it is a new UI, I'll ask the question. I think I already know the answer. Do they really need a new UI? Do you think that's integral for the user base? This is something they want, or should they just leave it alone?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
Obviously, the one that they have, it's practical, it works, but for some reason, people
Yeah.
hate it.
People don't like it.
I can understand in some reasons, once you start building up a big game base, having to scroll through, I can understand. But I think a very important thing for iArcade, like they're all about selling games, I think more than cabinets. So it's very important for them to have the store built in. And that has to be part of the new UI. And I also think that they need to do a better job of showing people what they already have on the cabinet, because it seems like with people that like the iiRcade and follow it, they only seem to be concerned about what's next.
Yeah.
And I find out every week during my show that people have no idea what's already available, because we'll start playing games and they'll be like, wait, that's on the
Wait, that's on
iiRcade.
there.
And they wind up buying it and enjoying the game. So I think they need to do a good job of, if you like this title, you might enjoy this. And, you know, people are more visual, like this. They have a nice website, but people, the still pictures don't sell the game. People
It
need
needs to be
see
on the cab.
gameplay. It needs to be on the cabinet. I think they need to just use it to advertise what they already have. I also think that they're trying to build more of a way that all people with the cabinet can reach out to each other in an easier fashion. So I'm expecting a lot of cool things from the iiRcade once they do that UI update. It's taken a long time, but I'm expecting a big visual update and also like social update to it.
Oh, that'd be
And I
cool.
also, can I say one other thing? I think it's so you have the iiRcadians. We talk a lot. We have my show. We play the games and we try to play them in a lot of creative ways against each other. They had the iiRcade zone on their channel, always trying to do creative ways to play the game. I think they know that that's what people that own the iiRcade enjoy doing. So I do think that they're going to take a little page out of like Antstream and maybe start building in challenges to the games and having more fun ways to enjoy the games that you already have once you've already beat them.
Yeah, that's a fun idea and a good way to say it. I think they understand that iiRcade is really built by the community they have, and the more ways they can engage the community, the better. B, I'll move down to you now for the UI. Do you think this is something that was necessary? I want to say so much, but I'm just going to let you guys talk.
I know it's hard to hold your tongue, huh, Michael B?
know,
You're doing a
I
good
know.
job. I have been waiting and wanting a UI upgrade for a long time. It's like it's actually one of my it was one of my original reasons why I didn't do a full review of the cabinet, and maybe I kind of did it a disjustice to not do a full review once I got it, because I wanted to like it because I was a Kickstarter supporter. I love the community and the streams and things, but I dislike the UI so much that I didn't want that to become my theme for that particular review. And now that I look back on it, you know, at first I was like, I didn't know what type of reviewer I wanted to be. Now I could care less. I've done live streams about it where I asked my wife to like look at the UI and other things, and it still continues to be something that bugs me to this day. When I build multi-cades, the front end is like one of the best attract mode things that I look for in a multi-cade, specifically a multi-cade. So if they spend the time and resources to do it justice, like many of the other multi-cade systems out there, I think it'd be a huge improvement for folks that enjoy the multi-cade experience. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents about the UI.
19K Fox, before we get to that, $4.99 super chat from our good friend Ezekiel, the Chicago Retro Ranger. Why isn't anyone wearing the arcade one-up hats I gave you? Wrong stream. Thank you very much, Ezekiel. Love you, brother.
Is the UI integral to getting new and expanding the fan base? No, I think it really would have been a welcome addition to the gold cabinet. You know, you kind of expected that to come with that. It is going to really solidify and make happy the current fan base. Sure, you know, clean that up. Integrating the store is a great idea. Having a social aspect is good. A physical sort of like hyperspin sort of front end to the cabinet where I can see, you know, not just a picture of my game, but the game maybe playing a little bit. I mean, that stuff is nice, and it would be a great addition. But I don't know. Part of me thinks that they're not really focusing on that specifically. They're focusing on something else. Is it game development? They're going to make a new game, their own game. I don't know what it is, but the UI I think is coming. It should come. It should be there, and maybe it all should be transferable to the next cabinet or thing that they make, to sort of really make whatever that new thing is feel newer. Because that's the one thing that I didn't notice as much because I didn't have the original. I just had the gold. But if you have the original cabinet and the gold, it sort of feels like maybe it's a little stale. Maybe it's too similar to what you had before. Getting a new gold cab, you would think a new UI, a new visual experience would have been warranted.
So I am going to jump in on this one.
Say it.
Brad, did you have a chance to jump in yet? I'm sorry. Did I get to you?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So UI really quickly. I think that the UI fails in ease of access, being able to see what you have on your cabinet, being able to get to it. There's all these things going across. I hate looking for games on the iiRcade. Like if it's not on my recently played, I don't want to go to different sections and then scroll down all the way. I think they can do a better job of ease of use with a new UI update. I also don't think it looks that nice. I know that you've just got the words and then you get a picture in the background. So many other user interfaces like iiRcade we brought up earlier, now that I'm an iiRcade channel, I think iiRcade does a beautiful user interface. I think they can improve upon that. And I didn't even think about this. I thought it was just going to be a graphical upgrade. But all the stuff you said, Brooklyn, about not just the store being on there, which is so important. Honestly, I think that's one of the big detriments. And I wanted to talk about this later, of people going to buy games for the iiRcade, and if it's not right there in front of them where they're just scrolling through the store in the cabinet, kind of like you can do with Steam or on the Steam Deck, a lot of times you'll be like, oh, cool, new game came out. But then it's a laborious process to go to your laptop, download it, turn on the machine and download it. It's not as instantaneous as it needs to be. So, yeah, I definitely think this is something they need to do. I don't think it's going to move a lot more consoles, but there are some people that they take that into consideration on the review. What's the UI like? So there we go. All right, I'm going to skip a couple questions to speed things up because I don't think it really matter. Like they talked about, they were on to bigger and better things. We kind of talked about this. We think that it might be a new console, or it might be a new. People have been saying handheld or like home console. Do you guys think this is something iiRcade should focus on, or are they an arcade company and they should stick to making the arcade cabinets?
I think they should focus on whatever is going to get them to the point where it's not an issue for them to put out the money for a big title, where it's not a gamble of, well, if this has to work, or if it doesn't work, it can put us in trouble, because that's not going to stop me from being able to play the games on my arcade cabinet. Some people may not care, but so I have the iiRcade too. So that there's so many similar games on iiRcade that are also on iiRcade. But there are certain games on iiRcade that aren't fun for me to play, like the shoot 'em ups that are on an arcade cabinet. To me, that's the way to play them. But there are games on the iiRcade that are console-based games that's how the style I want to play it. So it really depends on the person's preference. I think they've kind of denied that pretty adamantly, also, that they're not doing that. But I mean, would it hurt? No, it might be something that can ship out to a lot of people, and it's easy to get out there. And they have all their games on it that you can purchase.
Brad, you?
I like playing, arcade games on arcade cabinets. That's just me. I mean, that's kind of, what I like. So, I mean, I guess we'll see where they go. I do love shmups, shoot 'em ups, and iiRcade has the most shoot 'em ups of any home arcade available right now, unless you build it yourself. Do it yourself is always going to be the ultimate if you've got the skills to do it. Like B could build anything. He could probably play any game right now, because he's got the skill set to build it himself.
You know what's fascinating though? Like he struggles so heartily just trying to build a simple build-it-yourself arcade one-up. I don't get it. Like the man is a genius, but like he sits there, he's like, I'm not going to use the
he doesn't use the instructions.
I don't need shoes. I don't need instructions. I just need these hands and some Loctite.
You want to hear,
buddy?
You want to hear a funny story? After we did that stream and P-Dubs went on the big rant about having, shoes on, having to have shoes on. I actually was building an arcade in my basement, an arcade one-up, and I dropped a panel on my foot and like destroyed my foot shortly after that. And I was like, God damn it, this is me, P-Dubs getting back at me. Really quickly, $4.99 super chat. I'm not a fan of this new Dr. Phil themed show, Michael. You need to stick with pinball. I'm sorry, confusing everybody. I'm all over the place. iiRcade, pinball channel. Guys, I'll try to clean it up. Thank you very much. What about you, 19K Fox? Do you think there's a possibility that iiRcade could shift to handheld, console, something like that to increase the user base?
No.
Stick to arcades?
Stick to arcades. I got to agree with Papa Brad on this one. Play your arcade games on an arcade style cabinet.
Well, console fanboy 499 Super Chat, I'll answer this really quickly. I think it was pretty clear in the show that they did. I mean, they're putting out hardware that really is a loss leader. I mean, their cabinets, they were selling at a loss. Same way Nintendo did back in the 80s, and with a lot of their consoles, they would sell it at a discount because they knew they hoped they would eventually make the money back on software sales, getting it out in as many homes as possible. So then people would continue to buy their software for it. So I think that's really the way why. I think they're focusing on we're not really making a profit off the cabs. That's not where we make our money. We make our money on the software side. I think they were trying to clarify that. That's my take from it. I think Fox, you were kind of taken back by that too. You thought that was a different comment,
Absolutely.
but that's how I kind of took it.
Yeah.
That's a reason why the us iiRcade fans, we absolutely love it. Now put this message out there to everybody. We love it when we hear you say, I'm selling my iiRcade, because when you say it's sitting in your house collecting dust, you're not buying any games. But as soon as you sell it to someone else and they have something new that's exciting to them, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to buy games. And who wins in the end? iiRcade. So if you want to hurt iiRcade, tell us you're keeping your iiRcade, not selling it.
Tell us you're going to keep it and it's gathering dust.
I'm so confused. I don't.
Kevin Clausen wants to know why you're staring directly into his soul. I added that last part. Why is Brooklyn staring right at me?
He also had a super chat from Tyler V. If you
Tyler.
This is like the first show where I'm not clicking 1,000 buttons, so I can actually look at my camera. I'm usually like looking over here and over here.
So guys, I gotta tell you about Tyler. When Glenn, the light gun news first broke, I mean, we knew Glenn was working with iiRcade to do something, and then Glenn makes this announcement that he's getting Sinden light gun. So obviously, you put two and two together. You know, Glenn is trying to bring Sinden to iiRcade. So I made a video about it, and Tyler V never let me live it down until the day Operation Wolf was physically announced. So I'm finally off the hook with this guy now. Light gun games make my world go round, iiRcade. He was very excited about it. Thank you very much for the super chat, brother. So we talked about this a little bit earlier. Recently, iiRcade did a clearance sale on Retromania cabs at $299. Why do you think people took this as a sign of trouble for the company? They are now clearing out additional inventory. Is this more of the same and just trying to clear out warehouse space? So I think you guys saw the post in the iiRcade fan page today. John mentioned there's like a couple bar tops, Dragon Glare bar tops, a couple stands. They're going to put them on sale too. Why does everybody immediately jump to this assumption that like, whoa, this stuff's going on sale, the company's in trouble? I'm going to ask 19K Foxes first.
When we don't see anything new on the horizon, when we don't hear anything, when there's no kind of, if there was something on their website covered in a silky cloth, we would think, oh, well, that's why then there's something new coming. They're getting rid of all this old stuff to bring in the new, to usher in the new. When we don't necessarily think there's something new to usher in, that's why we get a little skeptical, we get a little crazy, especially when some of us have been taking some heat for getting the iiRcade, waiting for these games. You, Michael B, have taken so much heat over these light guns, for God's sakes. I mean, it's months and months of
Tyler.
It's just he's horrible. So when you don't see something new to look towards, and all you see is liquidation of what you currently have, you're like, well, I mean, some would assume that this is not a good thing, at least on the hardware side. Software side may be completely different, but that's sort of the assumption. We do the same thing with RK One-Up. Oh, dear God, they're liquidating everything. That means that cab, you're never going to see that one cab again. It's never coming back. Oh, wait. Oh, there it is. Oh, never mind. It happens.
It's pretty clear they're never going to do Space Invaders again.
Ever. That's never going to happen.
Never.
Ever.
What about you, Papa Brad?
Well, I think it's natural. I mean, look at, you got $150 Killer Instincts right now. I mean, I think all companies do that. I mean, and it could be that they're making way for something new. I mean, that's what you do. If you're planning on doing something new, they want to clear out the old stock and be clean for getting something new. So plus, why would you not hook up people with good deals? I mean, those cabs are doing them no good sitting in a warehouse. No
Well, it's
one's
like-
buying games for even if it's 6 Dragon's Lair cabs. No one's buying games if they're sitting in a box in a warehouse.
Yeah, that's the same thing that Brooklyn Menace said earlier. I mean, get them out there, get them out to the user base, and have them, making you money. I think with this as well, you go back and someone mentioned in the chat there a minute ago, it's like when Blitz was on sale, like crazy sale, going through, where was it? Sam's Club in the States. Like it went pretty low here too, like right away. It went down to like $4.99, which is really good price Canadian, but that was one time where people were like, oh, Arcade 1-Up is in trouble, right? But it's weird that people jump to these conclusions about these different companies just because cabs go on sale. Sometimes, you know what? Some companies, there's a swing and a miss. Other times, they're just trying to clear out warehouse space. You can't always assume that this is the end of a company because that happens. Anyways, I'm jumping in too much here now. Brad, go ahead.
Want to add one little thing. 7 of the 8 Arcade 1-Ups, which I have, I got on sale. 7 of the 8. So, I mean, I think, I wait. I know I work hard. Everyone works hard for the money, but
not me. I
wait for the deals. I wait for the deals. I'm patient. I listen to every single review I can listen to. And, when I get it, when it goes on sale, I'll buy it. It's like the Mortal Kombat Deluxe cab. I like that cab. But I'm going to wait for it to go on sale because I'm patient. That's the way I am. But, that's all I'm saying about the sales. We were talking about sales. I was just saying, most of my Arcade 1-Ups I did get on sale. And, I'm glad that I was able to get the discount and, it allows me to, do more things.
B?
I forgot what the question was.
How do you stay so
what the show
handsome?
is about?
So the question was really quickly, why do people jump to conclusions when iiRcade
The low stock.
lists a bunch of companies like Retromania Cab $2.99? Why?
I think you guys all mentioned it, that it really is just clearance for stuff. It happens with companies all the time. So nothing new to add. I think you all get it. Agree.
I know why, because fans of the iiRcade are known to immediately panic.
Man.
Like literally it doesn't matter what iiRcade does every Friday. Somebody is going to be disappointed. I'm not even like, they could put Street Fighter 2 out next Friday and someone's going to be, they're going out of business.
I think they should make a
If they're putting out Street Fighter 2, they're done.
So
why no Mortal Kombat? Hey, look,
desperation move.
why no Mortal Kombat? Do they hate Mortal Kombat over there at iiRcade? It's like that's the curse of having a multicade with games coming, in little bursts. You're always waiting for that next game, but so few people forget to look back at what they've already got in the library. And there's so many good games already in there.
You got half the user base that says, I bought this because I wanted retro games. Then you got the other half saying, I bought this because I want the modern retro games that I can't play anywhere else. So they're just like stuck in a weird place where people aren't going to be happy no matter what they do. I was never concerned about all the rumors of them going out of business for 2 reasons. One, they keep pushing out games. If they were, if they're stopping selling cabinets, it's kind of making sense to me what they're up to. If they just completely stop selling the games, never put out Operation Wolf, just abandon all that, then I can understand going with that thought. Another reason why I'm not concerned about them going out of business is because I feel like if it ever came to that point, I would not be surprised if Arcade 1-Up would scoop them right up and then take their platform and then start selling their more expensive licensed games on there for about, $39, $49 a pop. So I think it will survive regardless. And let's say if it goes away altogether, I got a cabinet with about over 300 games on it that is going to take me forever to eat. I bought stuff with way less games on it that I still enjoy years later. So I'll be good regardless. The games aren't going anywhere.
Really quickly, I love Foe Super Chat 19K Fox. Was the Fast and the Furious cab the last straw for you? I always find these questions so funny.
The last straw in regards to what? What am I gonna?
I think he means Arcade 1-Up. Like,
Arcade
are you
1-Up?
done with Arcade 1-Up? You should do a video. Like, no one's ever
You're
done
never
that video.
done with
I've
Arcade
had
1-Up.
this idea
Never.
of a video just says I'm done, like on the front. I don't know. I'm working. It's a working title. I'll work on it. No. I mean, I'm always excited for them to do something right. It's just becoming more rare of an occurrence. So, but
No,
no,
it's
it's
not
not the
with
last
Arcade
straw.
1-Up. That's
the
why
last
I thought it was like it's
Yeah.
when everyone talks about, well, I'm not paying this much for a cabinet and then a send-in. I'm not paying. People that really enjoy this will pay. You can see 90K Fox. He just bought 2 of those Fast and Furious cabinets. So we went from
He had gift cards.
people
let's be clear.
screaming all year like hashtag
Yeah.
never pre-order,
Yeah.
and Arcade 1-Up pulled this magic out of their hat. Not only do they get people to keep pre-ordering, but now you're buying like 2 and 3 of the same cabinet. They're geniuses over there.
Hey, look, you're never done. If you love home arcade, you're
No
never
one's
done with
done.
any of these
Yeah,
companies.
if you like this,
you know,
like it.
I mean,
We just
you're
hope they
never
get it
done. I
right.
mean, how many
Yeah.
people say I'm done with Arcade 1-Up? Oh, Killer Instinct, $150. Cha-ching! They're like out there, as fast as they can get it, and I don't think you're ever done. If you love home arcades, you're always looking at all the companies and, you're picking things that you like. And
Really quickly,
one thing I want to say
$2
about iiRcade though is that they do kind of they march to the beat of their own drum in that, like, a game like Saturn, which is basically as good as Robotron, if not better, that getting games like that will keep me interested in iiRcade.
Brad, I really like Saturn, but I would ask you not to say such blasphemy while you're on my show, ever saying that something
Better
is
than Robotron.
He really likes it better than Robotron. He's a huge Robotron
Jesus.
fan.
I'm a
He
huge
said
Robotron
this
fan too.
Jesus.
off of YouTube to me
Yeah,
almost
So-
every day.
$2. Stringer
took a
Films
long
is a
time
great
for me
idea.
to realize it, but
It's a jump to conclusion. Anti-fatigue man. Anybody who's a fan of Office Space will remember the jump to conclusion man.
Conclusion you can jump to.
Yeah. All right, just trying to catch up with the super chats and trying to get this on. P-Dubs is going to be so mad. Like, honestly, you don't know what he's really like. He seems like this really nice guy, but if you do something like run over his time, like, he will take you to the target and just have his way with
Killed
you.
a guy.
All right. Really
You missed
quickly.
one super chat. Go
Oh, I
up.
did?
It said, if you think this show is great, you should check out Brooklyn Menace every Friday night. On the Friday
It's
night
weird. I
arcade
can't find
show.
that one.
Yeah, what?
Keep scrolling.
going
It's
on?
weird. It's right there.
Don't worry.
Yeah, keep scrolling. For
Feel
a few
free to
minutes
ping
while I
me.
keep talking. and
How many
promoting.
more questions we got, Mike?
Oh, so many B. I'm sorry. Do you got to have supper or something?
No, I'm just curious. I wanted to chime in on something, but I want to get
Oh,
through
no,
your
no.
agenda.
You
No.
go ahead really quickly. Go ahead.
While you do that, okay. So I do have a question for Brad in Brooklyn, because I think oftentimes people will have streams, and I've had streams where you have a very vocal opinion in written form, but I don't know what it is on like letting people speak without kind of saying that it's valid without having an iiRcadian give their opinion about it. So like, I'd love to hear from you, since we're talking. Why is it that you need an iiRcade DN fan to have an opinion to talk about these things, where I think we were just stating kind of our facts and what we think about the cabinets, but it felt like there was kind of that angst of it's not a valid point because there isn't that balance point. So I just wanted to ask clearly.
I don't think there needs to be like, I don't even know why we split
Why are we
ourselves
steering
up into
it this way?
subcategories. We're all fans of
Yeah.
arcades. A lot of times things like that are typed in a chat room, depending on how you feel about that person at the current time is how you read it in your head. So something that might be either a joke or off comment, you kind of read it in the way that you want to hear it.
Okay.
I personally could care less. Like, if whether anyone likes the iiRcade or not does not affect my enjoyment when I'm playing it. The only thing it affects is this: is we're a lot, like in the world of YouTubers, we're a lot smaller. We don't have as many people watching our shows. So the things that would be said on your show is definitely going to influence a lot more people that don't know what the iiRcade is and never had it before than us into saying how much we think you might enjoy it, because we're talking to a smaller audience.
Yeah. So really quickly, a couple things. I'm
Well
actually
said.
I'm actually going to follow up on that too. Super chat $4.99 console fanboy Michael B. Serious question: why don't you want Cornercade on your show? He asked 6 times today, and would you consider having his wife on only? So I will be honest. I'm telling you right now, I don't know how other people handle this, but one of the most distracting and really uncomfortable things that can happen during a stream when you're streaming is for someone to state, can I come on your show? Or somebody to state, why don't you bring this person on your show? So one of the reasons, Brad, like I didn't really address this, like you mentioned in the comments, why don't you have an Arcadian on, is exactly that reason. I no one likes that. Believe me, no one wants to sit there and say, have somebody on. Maybe some people are different, but it is really weird and really uncomfortable. You don't know how to handle that. So I'll go back to the other thing about having the iArcade perspective, and that's fine. You guys, like someone said it, like we're all Arcade 1-Up channels. I completely disagree with that. That really bothers me actually. But at the same time, that's fair. That's perception. But that same perception can go the other way. Like you need an iArcadian's opinion. Obviously, you have a very strong opinion on a product. So, are people going to be able to look at that and say, oh, he's stating facts now, or is he coming at this from a biased opinion point? So, like, there was a couple of things I went back and forth on. And of course, you're live hearing this coming in saying you should have this person on. So it is a little awkward. I just wanted to bring that up. So for people that say, you come on shows and you're like, bring this person on, I will say the only time I'm really going to engage with that, like say I did a show and I was like, man, I hate 19K Fox, that mother effer. So if I was saying something
show
like
on
that,
Friday.
so if I was saying something like that, talking about somebody directly, I'm the kind of person, I'll jump in the fire, man. Like, and someone, if he's in the chat and he's like, have me on if you got the guts, I'd be like, yeah, let's roll. So that's fine. But I don't like when other people are like, oh, bring this person on for their opinion. Or I don't like that. That's weird. People, if you're out there, stop doing that.
Makes sense. Everybody runs their own channel and they take time putting into, the ideas for whatever video or content they're putting out. So
yeah, a couple super chats really quickly. Stringer Films, like the show, watch Brooklyn Menace Friday nights. He's got your back. Stringer Films has got your back.
He was trolling me for 3 hours on Saturday.
Bozo Calvin Jr. Hello, everyone on panel. Now I see how you feel, 19K Fox. I tested out 1 of 2 fast and to flop dupe set. My turbo stops working after the update.
My brother, I'm so sorry, Bozo, man. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Bozo. All right. So I know back on track. Here's the one, the most recent controversy that everybody was kind of freaking out about in the iArcade world. Double Dragon. The contract's up, disappeared from the store. So anybody new coming in right now can't buy it. They're in the middle of negotiations. People went crazy because I think it was 2 things that happened at the same time. So what happened was, one, there was no announcement this Friday because we got Dead Cells a little bit early. So there was no announcement, and then Dead Cells went missing, and everybody went bananas. And not Double Dragon went missing. So what do you think of Double Dragon going missing? A lot of people are trying to turn it into something else that they're saying, oh, the company's in trouble because Double Dragon went missing. Is it that big of a deal? And then, hold on, I got to go back to my question because I kind of went off base on this. Why do you think people were so upset about it? Brooklyn, you go first.
I mean, personally, I would have been more upset if it was Bearsis, but it was, it was weird to me that Double Dragon disappeared and people noticed it so fast. Obviously it come on, it is a marquee title for the iArcade. So I do think if it doesn't come back, it could affect people that haven't owned the iArcade before, because that was a huge game to have as part of the original lineup, and they would seriously need to think about what they could use to replace that. That's also a big title game, whether that be Space Invaders or something new. My personal opinion, I think it's coming back. I've noticed that people that bought the Retromania Wrestling cabs, they are getting Double Dragon, because I know people were a little bit like concerned about that because they had just ordered. So they
Yeah,
are
Toxin just got it.
I think everyone went kind of crazy really quick. Like people were saying it's gone from my cabinet, but the problem is that the way it's categorized, you would think Double Dragon would be listed under arcade games, and it's not. So then you go flip the
preload
arcade
game.
games, and it's not there. So what do I think's going on? I don't know about contracts and games expiring. That's not what I do. I just play the games and enjoy them. I think it will be back if it's an important enough title for iiRcade to do whatever they need to do to get it back. Because if they are planning on doing any future cabinets, I think that having that as one of the built-in titles is pretty important, bringing in newer people. The rest of us, I mean, I played the game 90 times already.
Yeah.
So if people didn't tell me it was
Played
gone,
it for
I
2
would have never
years.
even known. And seriously, 2, whatever, 3, like we should
Yeah.
we should be giving 3 back.
Yeah, yeah,
Myself.
yeah.
I was about
Three-
to say I'm totally
three.
cool if
Yeah, I'll
3
give it
never
that.
comes back. What a
You
horrible
know,
game.
Yeah.
Sacred Stones is shit.
You know, I'll give a tiny tier for Double Dragon, but I would give giant tiers for Combat Tribes. You know, I mean, there are definitely other beat 'em ups that are.
But that's the thing is
equally
that Combat
great.
Tribes, and I agree, Combat Tribes, we love that game. We play through it and enjoy it. But like Saturn, you're not going to sell a new cabinet by saying Combat Tribes and Saturn because
Right.
those names aren't going to jump out to people. They
But
got to have
on
the
the
big
money.
name titles.
People
on
don't
their
remember the slowdown in
webpage.
Double Dragon too. On the Double Dragon arcade, when they play the real arcade, it has a lot of slowdown. And
Yeah, but you're assuming people even think about the arcade. Like I've had this conversation a lot of times. I know with Arcade 1-Up, they think about it like no one really knows. Like Double
You
Dragon
think-
Arcade mainstream consumers, what they're going to think about is the NES game, playing the game on the NES.
Maybe
So
you
that's
guys can just, I was wondering, do you think that that's why the Double Dragon was the only cabinet that didn't have the artwork pre-applied to the cabinet? Like you had to put that on
Mhm.
because they knew
It's a
that
2-year license
only
probably.
had the license for it for a certain amount of time.
I don't think it was that. I think it was probably some kind of complication with the license that they couldn't actually get it for a pre-installed art package on the cabinet. So they couldn't actually seal down that license, but there was no problem making art and art for the cabinet. I don't know. Contracts are weird. My wife's a lawyer. I'll ask her later. We'll see where we go from there. What about you, 19K Fox? I mean, obviously you have a Double Dragon cab, right?
Yes, I do.
Were you concerned about this? Like, did it matter?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely does. I mean, if you're talking about what we're talking about, you're kind of trying to figure out, okay, where are they going? If you care about the future of the brand, no new hardware coming out. They're focused on software. Now they're losing some legit IPs. I mean, I think Double Dragon for the most part is a solid IP. It's known. It's for better or for worse. You can get the cabinet. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big deal. I think it's and then to kind of have. I mean, I'm glad that John addressed it. He came out. He said, "Listen, hey, here it is. Don't worry. If you've already bought it, you can keep it. It's yours. Don't worry about that. You can re-download that." Similar to what would happen on like PlayStation. Like PlayStation 3, I would download a bunch of games, and then over time, they disappear from the store, but you still have them. So that's great for the early adopters. But moving forward, what are we to surmise by all of this? If we're trying to put it together, I mean, if you're trying to look towards like a future and you want to be with Arcade and stick with them and see where they go, this seems to be a trend of, not good things. Are they clearing out so they can afford new IP, new licenses? Maybe, possibly. Let's free up some capital and go after Mortal Kombat, whatever they want to do. Anything's possible, but all we know is what we see in front of us. And to me, it's one of those things that's kind of concerning. Is it another domino that's falling? Possibly.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. I do want to talk about this, and I do find this interesting. I really do that you brought it up. A lot of times, guys, how do people from the outside see this? Like, say people they're not in the community, they're hearing about iiRcade for the first time, and then they see this news about, well, they no longer have the Double Dragon license. How do you think that impacts iiRcade's overall image in the community and to new consumers?
I'll jump in. It was the first time that I even knew that, they could lose the license. So I that was kind of like news to me, not knowing. I know it happens in general, like when people still have their old Xbox 360s and PS3s with MVC2, and they're not getting rid of it because they have that game forever on their downloaded console because you cannot buy it again. So I know it's happened. I just didn't know, like you said, contracts are wonky, and I didn't know this now an expectation that other future titles may not, like, will lose licenses for more stuff, right? So it just opens a door that I didn't know was possible first off. So I think that's just one of those things where new users or new consumers that get it, it's just another piece of information now that, like, hey, they have 300 titles, now they have 299, and maybe tomorrow it'll be 295. I don't know that, but I'm just saying, like, that's a possibility. I didn't even know that was something. So it's something to consider.
You can also look at it this way. Could that create a sense of urgency with people that own the iiRcade to say, wow, if there's a big game that I want, I should buy it, because look what happened. Double Dragon is gone. So this game that I want can disappear one day. So let me snag it before it's gone.
Yeah.
In the end, like if they keep recycling and bringing in more games, and I'm not saying I think this is going to happen, but I'm just putting a positive spin on it. It could create that sense of urgency.
It just would have been nice even for those that wanted it, though. Could they would have said
19K Fox's
Can I have a chance to
Dragon
speak?
Cap is now worth $3,000.
Papa Brad, you wanted to come in here.
Yeah, I have something from Michael Svebeck. These are the exact words he used. The license is just pending renewal, still from the publisher. Renewal. I mean, that's an interesting choice of words, renewal. So, I mean, maybe we're panicking over nothing.
What's more fun than panic?
I don't think we're panicking. We're just,
well, it seems like
it's
it. I
a
mean,
fact that we're
I'm not
discussing.
panicking.
I believe
There
it.
was
I believe it's
everyone
no
gonna be- I know
sense
it's
of
gonna be
panic. This
pointing
is
out something
you
that's
exactly putting inflection
But-
on a conversation.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying he's saying renewal. That's just interesting.
He said the same
choice.
thing to me as well. I think
Mhm.
what you might be missing here is the fact that the problem with all this, and let's be honest here, there's nothing wrong. Companies like this, they lose stuff all the time. Like At Games decided not to renew their contract with Disney, we found out recently. So the new cabs coming out aren't going to have Tron, aren't going to have Fix It Felix Jr., aren't going to have Nostalgia's favorite game, Disney's Aladdin. But, no one's losing their mind about that. Not because it was communicated, but I think a lot of people said this in your community and in the whole home arcade community. I think the problem with this was it wasn't addressed. It wasn't communicated. iiRcade has this close-knit community where everybody's involved. They reach out and touch people, but how does something like this happen without some kind of official communication from them? I mean, we got a Facebook message from John after the fact, but it would have been nice if there was just some kind of communication. Like you said, Brooklyn, telling people that, we're going to be,
Michael, what they should have done, honestly? I mean, I think about like when Nintendo's pulling games from the store. Why wouldn't they have like said 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, if you want Double Dragon 2 and 3, buy them now, and giving people a little heads up. And then those people that really wanted the train wreck that is Double Dragon 3, they could have got that game.
No one's going to buy Double Dragon 3.
Yeah. What I'm saying is,
no
like,
one should.
give people the chance to be disappointed.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. In my opinion, it's communication. I think that iiRcade is a company that's always done such a good job on embracing an audience and a community, but sometimes they just miss the mark when it comes to communicating something like this, like Double Dragon. Also, I don't know. I wonder, because contracts are weird, if maybe there was some kind of renewal clause that this contract was supposed to automatically renew, and who is it? Arc System Works has a renewal option, but they have yet to accept that option, or maybe they're looking to renegotiate, and it kind of caught iiRcade off guard, because they just assumed they would automatically accept the option and renew. That makes sense?
Maybe they forgot.
That's what the other thing I was thinking.
They forgot.
Tyler V's got a super chat there, $4.99. Serious question: why don't they partner with third party or commission original games, not just light gun games, but anything? Tyler V, thank you so much for the super chat. Why don't they partner with third party or commission original games? I don't know what you're asking. Sometimes they do that. Michael Zrebeck created Rebounce. I mean, like, they're always bringing in third-party games on there. I'm not sure. But thank you very much for the super chat, brother. If I said it wrong and you want to clarify, put it in the chat. Don't do another super chat. Just say it. I'll try to get you up there. So anyways, P-Dubs is going to kill me. All right, really quickly. Rumors stated that House of the Dead can work on the iiRcade. That's something P-Dub said. We know House of the Dead works on the iiRcade. So, I mean, I'm the kind of person to pick stuff like this apart. And I was like, what do you mean you know it works on the iiRcade? Unless someone's saying something to you. And I know you guys did a show. You talked about it with House of the Dead too. Like, could House of the Dead become an iiRcade? Is that a game that you think is cool enough? I know I'm excited. People have been waiting for other home arcade companies to do it. Do you think that's a big draw game that'll get people excited about not just iiRcade, but also about gun games on iiRcade? Do you think it's a possibility they could do House of the Dead remake or the original? I think it's going to be
Imagine
remake.
if it was a pack-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be big.
Yeah, I played the fifth. Fifth.
Yeah, I'm thinking more the newer version than the original is more likely, if it is going to happen. Again, with that, like whichever one they get, people are gonna say, "Well, why are we getting the old one? We want the new one." But I'll take either one. I think either one would be a great get for the arcade, and I would personally have a blast playing through it with the Sinden. I've tried everything to play the new House of the Dead on the Switch, and it's just unplayable.
Oh, it's horrible.
I tried it with the
very
Sinden on the computer. I just can't. The tracking won't stay track. Can't track it. So some people just want to plug these things in and just play it. They don't want to go through the setup.
Yeah,
So
House of the
I think it would be
Dead, from what I understand, it was designed with the gyroscopic controls in mind. Never designed to be a gun game. And the only reason the Sindens actually even work with it, I think B, you told me about this, was the modding community came together and we were like, we're gonna fix this because it's horrible.
When I say awful, the game's not awful. I really like the game.
Great.
I pre-ordered it. I got the physical, but it's unplayable. That's not how it's meant to be played.
Would you be excited, 19K Fox, if House of the Dead remake came to the iiRcade?
If that happened, no one would care about Double Dragon.
No.
No one. All of a sudden, Double Dragon doesn't matter. That would be great. Absolutely. I mean, I think especially we see the way the execution is there, right? We talk about other companies not executing. This is a proper execution of the game, of the software, of the experience. So I would see that as a huge win. Absolutely. Any of these games there's a ton of games out there. There's just a ton of Sega shooters that were incredible back in the mid 90s. And we know the iiRcade can run it. It's like you got all that power and I'm just looking for something that, can kind of push it. So I think the potential's there. If you think about it, it's kind of the perfect console in some ways, right? If you have no space, I mean, the reason you would get into the 3/4 scale arcade scene is you don't have a lot of space for a full size. But if you have no space at all, the iiRcade could be the one console solution, the one cabinet solution. It's possible, but the licensing has to come in. Big names like House of the Dead, any kind of Sega title, huge win.
Become.
I personally could care less because I could play it on my other light gun cabinet.
Exactly.
So, but I think I would be happy for many people that would like to enjoy a simple plug and play version to play.
For the love of God, don't do a comparison video. Everybody,
It wasn't a comparison. It was just me playing the game.
I know.
So I do have I've wanted to even just buy Sinden again, just so I can, make a relative content that would be easier. Because it is I think Ascendant still is probably the best cost entry into the home arcade light gun market. That's already kind of pluggable. You do have some concessions, but I would just say House of the Dead would be big because I think everybody loves that game. It would be big for them to get it.
Shout
plus
out to B
a
too.
reskin cabinet.
B, your gun cab mods are absolutely amazing. I am so jealous. Every time I watch your streams, I see all the cool builds you have with all the games. I mean, truly next level. Truly next level. I mean, if you want the ultimate, that's the ultimate. Like I said, do it yourself. If you've got the skills like you, I mean, nothing will ever touch that.
Really quickly, super chat, $1.99, 19K Fox, picking you all up for Cleveland Gaming Classic. Also, shotgun? No.
Sure.
Sin and Light Guns does not work on at games, Jason, unless you're plugging a PC into your at games and doing it that way. All right, so I'm going to try to push through this because I've already gone 30 minutes over. P-Dubs is going to beat me like a government mule.
You're going to die.
This is going to be a difficult question. I'm going to put you guys on the spot here because I know you guys are really big fans. So you might have a different opinion than some other people, but I want to think this not just from your own opinion, but also think this from an outside perspective as well. How do you currently rate the iiRcade game library that's available currently? And are you personally happy with the quality of the games available? So let's start with you, Brooklyn.
I would rate it an 8, and I'm extremely happy with the games that are on there because I'm a huge fan of shoot 'em up games. If I was a fighting game fan, I'd give it like a 2. So again, it really depends on what type of games you like. And I'm also the type of gamer that I enjoy being introduced to stuff that I might have missed in the arcade, but I want it to be presented in its best possible form. So someone that like collected horror movies, yeah, I want the big blockbuster ones, but I also really like to steer towards the stuff that I never heard of, but I respect when companies put it out in the best possible manner and they treat it with respect. And that's what iiRcade does with every game they put out. They treat the games with respect. We saw that with Warrior Blade, where they put it out in the proper perspective. And we see that with pretty much every other game they put out. They always do a fantastic job at the presentation. So I know when I'm playing it, I'm playable version of it. So I can go and emulate it, but I might have an issue with it. On their games, I would say 95% of them just play perfect. Sometimes you get some hiccups in some of the titles, but they fix them if we ask.
So really quickly, you're a horror movie fan. I love that because I'm a huge horror movie fan too. We should talk more often. So here, very quickly, on the spot question, why is the worst horror movie of all time Howling 3: The Marsupials? Go.
I don't know, but I can tell you, when The Howling came out, I used to go see that almost on a daily basis and just sit in the movie theater all day and just watch it on repeat.
I challenge you to try to get through Howling 3: The Marsupials. I challenge you. It's worse than trying to get through Exorcist 2. Like, honestly, it is a chore. Oh, my God. Anyways, we'll get off that. Next up, Beacon. What do you think of the iiRcade library? The thing I missed about this, Brooklyn, I want your personal opinion, but I also want, what do you think people coming in, looking at the library from the outside think of it? You kind of mentioned that.
I think like I said earlier, what coming in is then if you watch my show, and this is not advertising for it, but I'm just saying, if you watch the iiRcadians, this is what we do. Like, we really get into depth about the games that are already out. We always discuss the new stuff, but if you just want to see what the iiRcade has, check us out. We show you. You get to see in-depth gameplay, and you can make your decision if it's something that you like or not. Based on that. Brad's pretty much did a review on every single game the iiRcade has ever put out. So it's all out there. It's not only what is coming up in the future, which I believe a lot of great things are coming, especially with this new control deck. It's opening up a whole new world to different control options, which is going to probably make iiRcade think of titles that they didn't think of before, now that we have the proper way of playing them. But there's so many great games that I've been introduced to from this.
All right, B, what about you?
I was actually just looking up the library because, to answer that question, I have to, take a look and see what the latest was. When I first bought the iiRcade, the game that sold me on getting it was the fact that they had the Dragon's Lair series, and it had a skin cabinet. It was the reason why I picked up the cabinet, because they got that title, and it was before iiRcade went up had released it. So I was happy with that much. In terms of the ongoing playability and adding stuff, I was initially sticker shocked at the cost of a lot of the games when the library first came out. So I think that was, like, in terms of rating it, I mean, I'd have to give it maybe like a 6 or a 7 from. It's a nice library, but I just don't like the pricing model for some of the games that we're getting. I would love to see, and I don't know if they could ever do this, but for a new user that buys a cabinet, if they can give them like $100 credit where they can shop and like feel like they can just start a library with that as part of a bundle, I think it would get people like buying a lot of these more and trying them out. Because for me, my wallet's like, I don't want to pay $10 for that. I don't want to pay $10 for that. Like it just adds up so quickly that I wait until the big sales. And so I think the pricing model they have, even though they have to probably do it, that's probably what brings down the library more for me than anything. Is that I was expecting to be between $5 to $10.
Can I mention one thing that I left out? If you're not familiar with the iiRcade, there's no gamble in buying a game. It's not like you buy an arcade one up, you wait, it ships out, and then you build the whole thing and then find out you don't like it. You can buy any game you want on the iiRcade and test it out for a half hour. If it's something that's not for you, just click refund and it's gone.
You can tell sometimes in 5 minutes whether you like a game or not. I mean, so 30 minutes is plenty of time.
Recently.
Yeah, you can tell in 5 minutes sometimes if you like a game or not. So
I will tell you, I actually don't like that policy. I think they need to revisit that. And I got need clarification. Is it 30 minutes of gameplay or 30 minutes after you purchase?
It's 30 minutes after you purchase it.
30 minutes after you purchase. So again, where it's not on the cabinet, you have to do it from your computer. Then you have to wait for it to go to the system. Then you have to download it. So that takes up some of the playing time. Brad, you said, like, most people are going to say 5 minutes. That's shit. I think iiRcade are doing themselves an in-service only doing 30 minutes because if the testing period was 24 hours, you had 24 hours after you bought a game, you would have a ton more people trying a lot of these games because most people look at it. And John said something that really caught me off guard during the last game days he was on. He was like, I don't have any patience for people who don't try a game and then they say they don't like it. That's the gaming industry. It's been like that ever since I was a kid. There's lots of games that came out that are good games that people are going to look at and be like, oh my God, like Kickle Cubicle. Why the hell would I play that? Kickle Cubicle's awesome.
You can go all the way back to Atari, right? Like E.T. You look at E.T., all the people that got E.T., I mean, it's like, know.
So what I'm saying is I think iiRcade, especially where it's not on the console, if they gave 24 hours, if they give you a day to consider your purchase, I think they get a lot more people trying stuff and maybe finding some of these hidden gems compared to that 30 minutes, because I still think that's a little bit restrictive.
Possibly.
I agree with you.
There are arcade games though, Michael. Like some of these games you can beat in 35 minutes. So you'll have like a whole group of people that will just be buying them, beating them, and returning them. Like like a free rental.
But I mean, certainly like an hour would be a more reasonable time. Like, in an hour you can pretty much tell if you're into a game or not. I think like it doesn't take long. Like for me, I don't know. I have pretty good internet, I think. So it only takes the game's pretty much instantly download. But if I had an hour, that would be.
Some people are busy, man. Like I'm going to be honest with you. If I have my time back, I bought Fright Night Legend, and I was like, I'm going to play that later. And by the time I got around to playing it after I bought it, it was like 5 hours later. Then I started playing it, and I was like, I hate this game. This is not good.
Same.
So, but I can't return at that point. So that's where the 24 hours comes in.
Yeah.
No. So, anyways,
it looks cool, but it's like there's stuff to that game they could have just left out to keep the action going.
Good music. There's good ideas to it. It's just I just don't like it. I don't know what else to say.
Was the topic what we think about the iiRcade game library? Was that still the topic?
Papa Bread. That's still the topic.
Let me just throw something in there. As a person that owns 8 arcade 1-ups, multiple Act Games Legends Ultimates, and 2 iiRcades right now currently, I will say that I do like having options, and iiRcade brings totally different options than the other companies offer. I mean, and that's why I really like our iiRcade. Like, they can surprise me with something like Donut Dodo, or sometimes just to play a classic, like Burger Time, with Gateway, there's tons of titles on there, and it's got a little bit of everything except for fighting games. They have they have one good fighting game on there, Breaker's Revenge, I'll say. But I mean, I like that I have options.
Yeah.
And that's mainly what I like about iiRcade. It just gives me more options.
Okay. So 19K Fox, did I have a chance to ask you?
No, I'm feelings are hurt. I'm crushed. I think it's a solid 6. I think that you're missing some big marquee titles to bring in some of the people that are going to give it a chance. Double Dragon kind of did that. Now that they're losing that, I think that's why some people are concerned about that. I'm really excited about swappable decks and what that could mean to the system. That could be really cool. I still want my driving game. I still want that steering wheel. But variety is there, but I think you need to get somebody interested. You need to have something familiar. Just generally speaking, arcade fans will take chances where most people won't. But to get normies in, you got to have something a little more recognizable. So that's what they're missing. They are missing some good fighting games. I'm more of a beat 'em up fan anyway, so it doesn't hurt my feelings that much because I kind of suck at fighting games. But I think it's a solid 6. I'm a solid 6.
Night Slashers is great.
Night Slashers is great.
It's on multiple systems too.
Oh yeah, you can play it on ArcadeNet as of this week.
ArcadeNet. Mm-hmm.
So super chat $1.99. I don't know if I read this yet, but thank you very much, Console Fanboy. I think shmups are cool. 300 shmups are not. It's a difference of opinion. Everybody has different opinions what they like. A lot of the shmups are part of bigger publishers. They're part of what's the name of the publisher? Toaplan. That's another big shooter publisher. They're not under the Toaplan. They're not under the umbrella.
Games, I love them.
They're not under the umbrella that Arcade 1-Up currently has. So, I mean, iiRcade are grabbing what's available. Anyways, last question, because B needs to go eat. Apparently he's hungry. So, with the library of games iiRcade has right now and the quality of games that they've been putting out since the beginning and the ones recently, do you think it's possible for them to grow their user base with the quality of games they're coming out with now? Or do they need to bring some bigger games into the mix? Brooklyn, we'll start with you.
Well, they sold me on the cabinet just on what came with the original 12 titles. So everything after that was just an extra for me. And so far, I've been really happy with all the extras because I have a lot of games. Some of them, maybe, I picked up and I was like, all right, this wasn't for me. And I got rid of it. But for the most part, it's like, I just love the games on this thing. And I get so much enjoyment out of playing them, so much that I'll literally go on my @Games Legend and try out a game. And if I like it, I buy it on the iiRcade, even though I already have it, because just enjoy playing on there. Just love the whole cabinet, love the feel of the controls, sound, and
all right.
I'm extremely happy with it, and I think you will be too if you pick one up.
Beacon.
I think that not only do they need, some more kind of new titles to bring them in, but the biggest thing that arcade has always been missing is hitting that nostalgia factor for those in the home arcade, like the shape of the cabinet, the artwork, right? If they came out with, I don't know if Capcom owns the rights to a dynamo shaped cab, right? Like, what if they made their cabinet that truly looked a little bit like more nostalgic for any one of their titles, right? Instead of custom art. I think it could really help sell and hit that nostalgia factor for like a title that they release with a new cab design. I think that's what's going to bring in some folks that have like a House of the Dead themed cabinet would be like money, right? So if they did that and they could do that, that would be the thing that would sell and get them really back into it. The library, to Brooklyn's point, will just be a bonus, but the cab, the selling point has to be like, you have to be attached to whatever cab design it was. And for me, it was Dragon's Lair before Dragon's Lair came out. And now, yeah, I would be excited to get something if it hit that nostalgic bone.
Brad, what about you?
I think the iiRcade is a great multicade. If you love multicades, it's a good one. There are tons of good games on it. I mean, give it a shot. I mean, I like it. I mean, I like the @Games too, but I like multicades, and I also love my arcade 1-Ups. I have a bunch of them, so I think there's a place for all of it. I mean, a multicade is not really going to give you that nostalgic feeling for the most part. It's designed to play a bunch of different games, and for what it is, I think it's great. I mean, that's my opinion on it. But if you want like a game tied to a specific, arcade game, get an arcade 1-Up. That's what they do.
Or the real arcade.
Or the real arcade, yeah. If you can handle that, there's a lot of weight. There's a lot of other factors when you get into real arcades.
It's like real women. Sometimes there's a lot of weight, but they're worth it, baby. Anyways, 19K Fox, did I ask you yet?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Well, anyways, guys, I'm not going to throw any more bones out there. I hope this wasn't too much like a debate. It was not meant to be that way. I was just trying to control the conversation a little bit. So hopefully we're in a better space than when we started. Hopefully you guys feel like you had an opportunity to kind of talk and share the good word of the iiRcade. And B, I'm going to keep you here for another 20 minutes to watch you wither away to nothing. Anyways, guys, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for coming out here, sharing your opinions, getting an opportunity to talk. I hope that this clears up a lot of information, questions about the iiRcade that's out there. I always get really frustrated because, I don't know, I find like the community sometimes can be, like you said earlier, like the iiRcade fans are like, oh my God, like there wasn't a game this Friday. But I find the home arcade community really weird that some people pick sides and people are always like rooting for somebody to go down or rooting for something bad to happen. I don't understand. Like, the more every company does well, the more options we have, everybody wins. So I kind of view it that way. And I think it's nice to really have conversations like this sometimes, talk about a company, talk about the good, the bad. I am worried sometimes that, certain companies have people around them that are too positive, because that's the worst thing you can do. You never want to be too positive, because then the company will never fix any of their mistakes. They're perfect, right? Everybody's telling them they're perfect. So I do think we got to stay on top of companies when they do something like release a Fright Night Legends. You got to tell them that's a stinker, guys. But other than that, that's about all I got to say. Anyways,
options are good. And Michael B, thank you so much for having us on. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having us on. I want to make sure you know that we appreciate being on.
And I appreciate it, Brad, that you came on, and I'm also sorry that in the beginning I used your full name. I'll try to do what I can to scrub
please
that.
Don't do that. Please don't do that. There are some real radical people in this community.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, I will tell you this, Brad. It is a little bit of an inside joke too, because that's how we all met you originally. You
right.
were
I've been
just
doing
a
this
fan. You were watching shows, and we all loved to see you. That's why.
Thank you, though.
Yeah. And Brooklyn Menace, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Yeah, it was fun hanging out.
So, guys, check out the iiRcadians. Brad, when do you guys go on regularly?
We go on whenever there's news. I mean, we don't really force the show. I mean, whenever we feel like we have something to say, we'll do a show. It's usually a Wednesday night. And I'm always on the Friday night arcade show with Brooklyn. So I'm easy. Yeah. And I have my own channel, Papa Brad's Gaming, as well.
So Friday night iiRcade show.
It's just the Friday. Everyone, look, no one gets my show name correct, even people that are on it. So I'm not insulted by that, Michael B. But yeah, with a Friday night arcade show, just with an R, and we come on right after the Super Game Room dudes every Friday night, usually around 10:35 p.m.
So if you guys are looking to get a preview of the games that are on iiRcade right now, you want to take a look at them, this is a good place to go to actually just watch people play. I love doing live streams from my iiRcade exactly for that reason, because you can listen to a bunch of people pass their opinions. A lot of times it's just good to go watch the game being played. They're having fun with it. Go check that out. Now, 19K Fox, you're a relatively new YouTuber. You can be seen every Sunday night except for last Sunday night when you do This Week with 19K Fox, correct?
That's correct. Yes, something like that. 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, Sunday nights. You can find me on my channel talking about various things, including Arcade 1-Up, including iiRcade, and no ad games because I hate them. Just kidding. It was a joke.
And guys, B-Kong Kongs R Us, you can see him in about 5 minutes eating dinner. But other than that, B, you want to tell us about where else they can find you?
Oh, I can't wait. I'm starving. Then I get to go play some basketball and exercise. It's going to be a fun evening. Look, John's in the chat. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello to everybody. But it was
John's
fun
not feeling well. He's got a little bit of a flu, so get better soon, John.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, thanks for having me on. I've appreciated having a conversation. And I think like most everybody can agree, we all are fans of home arcade first. We may have products and things that we like a little bit more or less than others, but in general, I hope people can see that, and that, we all can eventually share opinions without feeling that, that's attacking somebody else. And that's all I'm really asking for. But thanks for the opportunity.
All right, let's go let this man have supper. Everybody, thank you so much for joining the stream. Hopefully this was helpful to you, fun. And if it wasn't, hey, you were here for 2 hours and I ran a bunch of ads. So see you guys later. All right. Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.